All right, if you've stuck with me this long, first off, you're very patient, and you'll notice that the scenery has changed. We're no longer looking specifically at the screencasting and are of the manipulation of the data and making the plan. We've done all that. We have the GPX file, we have the KML file. What we're looking at now is the laptop that I use. Actually, we're going to start with this. This is a small laptop that I use to manage my Garmin, because we're going to walk through both the Garmin and the Lowrance. The Garmin I used to have, I still have a little Garmin here I'll show you, but also the newer Lowrance unit. There's two programs that are valuable for working with Garmin. There is the Garmin Express and the Garmin Homeport. The Garmin Express, both of these are freely downloadable from Garmin, and so the Garmin Express is used for maintaining your devices. So I have this device right now, the Garmin Montana. This is running BlueChart V2, and this is what I use for as a backup now, but also for canoeing and kayak camping in remote locations. And this is like tonight when I plugged this in, because I haven't used it in a while, it's a fail-safe, and I ran it with Garmin Express, and there was both an update to Garmin Express and then an update to the Garmin 610 Montana. So that's what Garmin Express does, is it maintains this device, and it'll keep your software in such current, and you can also buy additional packages, mapping packages. Then there's Garmin Homeport. Garmin Homeport is for managing the information that you're going to be using as a user data on your device. So what I'm going to do here, this one has a SIM card in it, but we can also very easily manage it through the conventional USB cable, which is plugged into the laptop. So you'll hear it chime in and wake up, and the Garmin will go into a mode where it's connected. We'll set that aside. The Garmin Echomap that was on board the Maverick, that one has a micro SD SIM card, which remains, I call that the brain. If you have a Echomap type chart plotter, sounder chart plotter, they usually have a SIM card in the front. The newer ones may be more connected to Wi-Fi and other things, so that you don't need to do this. But many of them still have the micro SD card in the front. Check with Garmin for your specific model. The Garmin 54CV that I had is a maximum of 32 gigabytes. It will not work with a card greater than 32 gigabytes. So make sure, if you're going to buy a card to manage your Garmin's user data, that you understand what the max is. I had a 16 gig. 16 is more than fine for what I'm doing. So when I put this into my Garmin, when I had it, I did a backup. You can go under System and Files, and you can back up your data, and I backed up the data, including the BlueChart. And what that does is that takes basically an instance. You'll see some directories get created, and that will create an instance of your Garmin's configuration on this card. I call that the brain. I manage that on the PC using an adapter out to an SD card format, right? So what you notice here in the background is I had this connected. My Garmin Handheld is connected. As you see, the Garmin data directories show up, and I had exited the Garmin Express, but Garmin Express should be up here, or I think it exited. And Garmin Express now will show you the device that we're working with. You'll see it has two devices in Garmin Express. It has the Maverick Echomap and the Montana. The Montana is now green. Okay, so when I input the device brain into the SIM adapter on the side of my laptop, the Garmin will show up with its data for that jump drive, or that mounted file system. But now it's also going to be in here under the Echomap under Garmin Express. We're not going to manage either of these. I've already upgraded this one. This Garmin unit no longer exists. I just happen to have the brain, which is useful to show you this. So that's what Garmin Express is. It manages your device. Okay, so aside from the Garmin Express for maintaining the device, your next application that you can download from Garmin is the Garmin HomePort. The HomePort is the tool that's used to manage your user data. There's also Basecamp and other programs. HomePort works well enough for what we do here, and HomePort is what we'll use. Because I have the brain of the Maverick Echomap inserted, and I also have the Garmin Montana 610 physically connected, they show up as devices. So I got the Echomap Chirp, which is that device again is no longer there, but we have the brain in the Montana 610. So into my collection of data, I've got these lists. In this case, I'm going to add another list, right? So I'm going to create a new list. We're going to call that list Dunedin Calidesi. To keep everything consistent with what we've been talking about so far. And then over here, as I mentioned to you at the last step in the earlier video of the creation process, two files. We created the file for the KML directly exported from Google Earth, and we converted that to the Dunedin Calidesi GPX. Those files, I emailed them to myself, and I've downloaded them from the email. So I basically just used the email as a poor man's cloud. You could do that any other way. I had the tools already loaded on this little laptop here. This is like a little netbook. So I can't do the screencasting as well on here because it's a very underpowered machine. But you can see I've got the data over here. So now that's in C:video in the main system. So I'm highlighting Dunedin Calidesi. I'm doing a file. I'm doing an import into Dunedin Calidesi because it's the highlighted one. And it's going to come up with a file browser. I'm going to go to Windows. I'm going to go to Video. And then there's the Calidesi KML and the GPX. I'm going to select the GPX and I'm going to open it. That's going to import all of those things: estuary pond, grass flank, entrance to share a route, deep hole knocker rig, all that stuff that we put into the Dunedin Calidesi. So now this is very simple. We've got the data. We're going to select it. We're going to right click on it or press and hold, and then we're going to say send to. And now we can pick our devices. So I can send it to the Echomap Chirp. Very quickly, easily does it. I can go ahead and create a new ADM file. I can select an existing ADM file. It's already being used, so I'm going to pick the existing one, Dunedin Calidesi. I've done this before. So choose an existing ADM file, Dunedin Calidesi, and I'm going to put that data in. Now, I'm also going to take and do a send to, and I'm going to put that same data onto my Garmin Montana. So now both of these systems that are the Garmin systems will have the data. Now I'm going to remove the brain. The GPS map goes away. If I take this out to my boat, if it's permanently mounted, or if you have it here in your house with an extra power cord like I have for the Lowrance, you insert that in. It's going to see that you have new data. And you can say, it says, do you want to merge your data or copy over your data? There's a merge function too. And then when you do that and you merge that data into your Echomap or your chart plotter, it's going to now have all of those in your chart plotter as waypoints and as routes and as tracks. Now, I can't show you that at the moment because I don't have that device anymore. But this is the brain for the Garmin GPS map. That's how we do that. The data here, I'm going to go ahead and unplug the Garmin 610. We'll let that sit in the background here for a second because the first thing it's going to do is, since it's coming off of the USB connection, it's going to be rebooted. Okay, and we can see that now as we were fooling them with the information input into the Garmin. This is again the Garmin Montana has completed its boot cycle after we had taken it and loaded it. We got waypoints. We can now see the Dunedin launch pad, transition to deep. There's our redfish oyster, right? And so we can take a look at that location. We can do a oyster head to south. Looks like a good place for redfish. Also sandy. We can do all of the work that we want to do with this. We can go back actually to the actual map, and not much of a base map here. We have to get over to the ocean. There's Three Rooker Bar. So there's our transition to deep. There's our route path that we laid in. The pink lines are routes that I have already taken before. But we see our transition to deep, grass flat flanked. Should have RD oyster right here, and all the information that we have. It's all loaded in. So we can make a fishing plan.